You say this surgery lasted 4 hours. The doctors, what have they told you about his recovery?
4+ hours. Um, well, we know this that he has quite a bit of pain. We know that he has to walk gingerly, as it were. And we know that we have to make sure that his wounds don't get infected. So those are just sort of the things that one has to go through when one has surgery.
Have they told you how long they expect his recovery to last?
Um, I think that they're expecting that, he'll be much improved after a while when the wounds heal. Then there will be a period of about 3 months when there's observation going to happen. And hopefully after 3 months, the recovery will be complete. And,
Explain
and,
those
and
months
that's
for
if
us.
all
The
goes well.
Office of the Special Prosecutors, one of his main grievance with Ofori-Atta was that initially in the early part of the year when he had wanted him, he had indicated that he was going to have a surgery earlier in the year. That didn't happen. Can you explain to us how come that earlier surgery was then shifted to last Friday? What happened there?
I'm afraid you have your facts wrong, sir. The message, the communication with the special prosecutor was that there would be a biopsy in March, which is a procedure to determine to determine if there is cancer in the prostate, and that happened in March. And then after that, there was there were tests on the sample taken, and then it was clear that there was cancer in the prostate, and then the surgery was scheduled for June 13th.
I'm pretty sure you followed the OSP's latest press conference. When initially Ofori-Atta's lawyers wrote to him asking for more time, for which reason he withdrew the earlier wanted notice. What was the reason for the request that that be rescheduled?
I'm sorry, I'm not getting the question.
Initially,
Can you?
the OSP declared him wanted. You remember that?
Oh, in Jan, was it in February when he
Yes, in
was
February.
the first time? Yes.
And you had
Mhm.
requested that they take it down because you were ready to return in June after you had gone through that procedure. Remember that?
Um, you know, this is a tough question for me to answer because the very first time we gave the OSP, we had first told the OSP that we were in the US, we were doing investigations, and therefore we would not be available on the first date he gave us. We had told him that. But he wanted a date by which we should be there to see him. And so, knowing that we would have to do a biopsy, we gave him the possible dates after which Ken would have recovered from the biopsy and we would come. But we always knew that if the results of the biopsy were not good, then he would have to undergo surgery as quickly as possible. So that's what happened. We've got the results of the biopsy. We talked to the doctors about the next steps, and then we got in touch with the OSP. So that is what happened. It wasn't an attempt to keep moving it.
So I have here in front of me the initial letter from the Mayo Clinic, dated February 7, 2025, which is titled "To Whom It May Concern," and it says, "Hello, dear sir, madam," and it says, "Mr. Kenneth Ofori-Atta has been seen and evaluated in Mayo Clinic in Rochester. His medical condition necessitates that he will stay and follow up on his appointments and undergoing further testing and management, including possible surgical intervention in March of 2025."
Mm-hmm.
Did that surgery happen? And how come that surgery was then rescheduled to last Friday? That was my initial question.
Yes, that happened. That was the biopsy. The biopsy is a surgical procedure. And so that's what I just said to you or shared with you. So there was a surgical procedure called a biopsy in March, in which the reason was to get some samples, test, and know exactly what was happening. And then surgery was scheduled.
Now that we have clarity on that, back to the OSP point. OSP says that he agreed to pull down the wanted notice because of this, and that when this then was rescheduled, he wasn't told directly. Well, what do you say to that? Because that's his point, that if he had been told and the medical report shared with him, the outcome may have been different.
You know, I don't really want to get into the legalities of it. I do know that he was told through the, first of all, our lawyers worked it out through the court system. So he received the document. And we do know also that they were willing to share with him all of that information. They didn't want to put it all out publicly because those were Ken's health records. And so they asked him if they could come to his office and share that information with them. So that's what I know about the matter. It was in our interest to let him know.
Fundamentally, the picture has been painted, and in fact, the OSB had said that he is convinced that Ofori-Atta simply does not want to come and face accountability. He's made the point that he is not incapacitated to come and answer the questions. In March, it was a biopsy, and on the face of the Mayo Clinic letter I read that mentioned surgical procedure, he says, but a biopsy should not incapacitate you. Is he right to conclude that that is a fair basis to say that he, Ken Ofori-Atta, your husband, is simply running away from facing justice?
The Ken that we all know does not run away from accountability. We know that through the censure, he talked in the public about his work. We know that he has been to Shraj, talked about his work. This is not a Ken who runs away from accountability. So no, I ask the public to remember when they've heard him speak, he has not shied away from facing up to issues. It's amazing that we've had to deal with cancer in the last year, that this is the process by which we have hopefully ensured that it doesn't spread. If I were to make the choice, I would make it again. I don't know any wife or any family that would send their loved one to respond to a special prosecutor when they're battling with cancer. So I'm sorry, but these are the things, this is what we have to face. We have to get him well. And even through this very stressful time, he has always said, let me respond to you by video. It's allowed. Let me do that for you so that I'm not the cause of you delaying your investigation. He said that. He's also said, okay, you can ask my lawyers the questions you want to ask me, and we will respond. Whatever information we can give you, we will. So I just don't understand what's going on there.
A few circles we need to square here. In February, when the wanted notice was first issued for him, and you wrote for that to be pulled down, as I've gone over that again, you could not have possibly known at the time that he had cancer. So why didn't he just agree to come before the OSP at the time?
We were here in the States because of the cancer.
But the Mayo Clinic letter I just read said at the time he were now about to perform what the Mayo Clinic said, possible surgical intervention in March. You've just explained that when they said that, it meant the biopsy. So you couldn't have known at the time, correct?
No, last year we knew that Ken possibly had cancer. So we came, we saw the urologist, we began the process. And they were quite clear that, this was a slow growing one. That's what they thought. And so we came back home quite happy. And then in December, the tests in Ghana revealed otherwise. And so we rushed back and began that process.
So the test in Ghana said otherwise, as in confirmed that he didn't have cancer, or did?
Yes, the PSA levels were high.
So you had gone to the US to, of course, run the biopsy, which will put it beyond doubt.
No, hang on. Please let me, hang on. We came to the US last year. We realized that the PSA levels were going up last year in August. And then, the clinic said, okay, we'll just we're going to watch this, come back in a few months. Well, in a few months, the PSA had gone quite high. And so we came back. We came back in January and we informed the chiefs of staff, the former chief of staff and the current chief of staff about it. And then we came and did the tests in January. And they're like, okay, this is growing faster than we thought. But we will do the biopsy in March because of the timing. We'll do it in March. And so that's when we got that letter from the Mayo Clinic to say, stay, do your biopsy in March.
Could he have come, answer the questions and gone back?
Would you, if you had cancer, would you leave it and go and meet an investigation when you're not 100% yourself? Do you understand the impact of cancer on a person's feelings, emotions, psychology?
As it is now, the Interpol Red Notice is still active. How is he dealing? How are you? How is the family, yourself, and Foria? How are you dealing with that? Because there's a possibility now. Last week, the Deputy Attorney General confirmed that they've triggered the processes to formally ask for the USA to cooperate with us in extraditing him back to Ghana. How are you dealing with that? That there's a possibility that any time, if that process
I
goes through,
don't
he
know
may be subject to
any.
detention and possibly repatriation, extradition to Ghana.
Well, I don't know that any country would extradite someone who's not well. And so I don't know. I know that when he is well and at the appropriate time, we will come. But our lawyers are dealing with the notice. We don't, I myself, as the wife of a man who's not been well, I myself don't understand how a prosecutor would do a red alert or cause a red alert to be done over someone who's constantly told you where he is, constantly told you what he's dealing with. So that for me, that is something that I don't understand. And I would like to focus on how we are managing all of that, how he's coping, you know, and how we can surround him with love and prayers and get him to feel to you know, to get better.
I mean,
That's
about
what.
how he's feeling, how he's coping. Um, Having a red notice issued for you it's no child's play. How is he coping with that? The fact that the entire world, this has been reported on almost every international wire, the Bloombergs, the BBCs. How is he, considering also that he's just had surgery? How is he coping with that?
He's coping with it the same way we've always done through all of the tribulations, with God in the picture, but just faith and love surrounded by his family. It's just knowing that the Lord will do something with this. We don't know what, but we have faith. Because you're right, it's a difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing.
And the children?
They are, they've got good heads on their shoulders and they've got faith as well. So it's a lot of thinking, prayer, and just knowing that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel.
When you use that figurative language, what does that look like for you in reality? Light at the end of the tunnel.
Um, it's a good question. I'm kind of living day by day, making sure that my husband, you know, gets over this, the physical illness and the emotional trauma. So that's what I'm dealing with. And I think for me, that's the first light at the end of the tunnel. The second light at the end of the tunnel is, of course, it's justice. It has to be justice. And right now, I'm just, I'm just, I'm just living day to day, making sure that he's better. But when I look at, I want to see the light at the tunnel. I also want to thank the people who are standing with us in prayer, the people who love us, the people we love, and prominent pastors praying with us, calling us. Sharing in Krang, as we say in Tree, giving us hope.
Will Ken Ofori-Atta return to Ghana to answer the questions that the OSP wants to ask him, and when?
As soon as we know when, we promise to let you know.
But can you
But
also
he
say
is
emphatically
ready.
today that when he gets well, he will certainly return to Ghana and answer the questions?
The questions he can answer in a week or two. You send him the questions to His lawyers, he can answer. You set up a video meeting in a week or two, he will be able to answer. He will not do anything to interfere or prolong the investigation. And Ghana is home. I don't think there is any other home but Ghana. I know Ghana is home. So why are we holding back on the investigation? Why will he not give the video?
The special prosecutor says they have a warrant to arrest him.
I'm not going to speak to the special prosecutor's issues. I just want people to know that Ken's been through the surgery. He is doing well. And when he is able to, and his doctors give him the go ahead, of course, at the appropriate time, he will come. But why are we keeping the investigation not going on? Why?
You just made the point that at the appropriate time, he will come. Is that a firm yes that when he gets better, he will come and answer the questions physically himself here in Ghana?
Ghana is home. Ghana is home.
In your previous statement, you use words like vendetta. You believe the OSP has one against your husband?
Evans, I don't want to talk about that. I think all I want to say is there's so much I don't understand about this process. And I want to thank people for standing with us. And Ghana, I just want to leave you with the understanding that Ghana is home. And when the time is right, he can come.
Does he accept, though, that this is simply facing accountability for the time that he was a finance minister? Does he actually accept that? That this is the OSP trying to do his job to hold him accountable?
No, I don't agree with you on that, because the man has been held accountable even during the time he was in government. He went on a censure that didn't go through, but he answered these questions in Parliament, many of them already in Parliament. And you know that, you saw that. You saw that at Shraj as well. Shraj has gone through all of those. And so he has never not been accountable when asked. Okay. So I have to say that we have a great resource in the lawyers, and these questions you can ask the lawyers. But for now, I just want to thank you for this space.
I'm grateful that you spent time with us. And that there is the wife of Ken Ofori-Atta, Professor Mrs. Angela Ofori-Atta, who is with the Ken Ofori-Atta in the US. As you've heard, he is recovering now after the surgery on Friday. Make of that what you will. And